Recently, I've been getting a lot of questions about career progression in accounting, especially how to get to the top positions. So I thought it would be interesting to speak to someone who's actually done it. So today I'm speaking to Priscilla Maynard, who spent some of her childhood years in Nigeria, then moved to the UK and worked her way up to a position of finance director. And here's what she has to say about becoming one. Hi, Priscilla. So thank you so much for joining me today. It's really nice to have you on the channel. Well, let's start off with telling us about yourself. Who is Priscilla?
Oh gosh, that's the sort of questions you get in interviews, and you see them there and think, where do I start from? I was born in England and in London, and when I was 2.5 years old, I went to Nigeria, and pretty much spent a lot of my formative years. I have a degree in linguistics. I can't remember anything about it, but I did it. And I did my first degree in Nigeria. So, and then came back to the UK to decide to study something. And my mom was here, so it was quite natural for me to come here and then just join her. So, my early years in the UK was pretty much trying to discover what it is I wanted to study. I was sure I wanted to be a lawyer because in Nigeria, when you talk a lot, people go, "Oh, you'll make a good lawyer." So I thought, you know what? I talk a lot. I'm going to be a lawyer. And when I came to the UK, I tried to get into law and didn't get into law, and then decided I wanted to try something else, but I didn't know what it was. So I was actually working as an administration assistant in like a supermarket, in the office part of it. And during my lunch time, I used to just read books. I used to read business studies books and didn't realize how odd that was. After everyone kept going, why do you keep reading business studies book during lunchtime? Are you doing exams? And I thought, maybe I might as well do exams because I really enjoy reading this book during lunch on my own time. And so I started researching different types of qualifications, and I settled on ACCA. And when I settled on ACCA, I thought I need to move somewhere where I can actually do ACCA, and found my way long and short into HMRC VAT. And so I was working for HMRC for a year in the VAT admin section. Yeah, I was. And it didn't take me long to realize that VAT is such a small area of being an accountant. And I thought, I need to get to somewhere where I'm really doing something that you call accountancy. And so I applied to go to the BBC. I really worked my way from doing finance clerk, finance assistant, assistant management accountant. I worked my way on that basis until I got to a finance manager role in one place in the BBC. I was in the BBC for 4 years. And when I started, I was doing 1,000 invoices per day. You know, I was the only person that was a finance assistant. So I did all the grunt work. None of those are missing from my career at all. But you know what that gave me? I wouldn't change it for a second because I can go anywhere. I'm very practical. It's not textbook based.
So Priscilla actually got a job as a finance director without a direct experience. So I asked her, how did she go about it? And trust me, you want to hear this.
Never in my career took things as, oh, I've got to put the invoice in here. It was never just about that. It was understanding the things around what I'm putting into the system. And I've always had that interest going past just the numbers and knowing what they mean. Why do we have this? And I think that's one of the reasons that made me move further quite quickly in my career, because it wasn't just about doing. And I think that it's really important that you do more than doing, because you're more valuable to the people around you, because you're asking the questions, you're having the understanding, and you know when things are wrong, even if it's not within your department itself. When the whole Millennium Dome was being built, I moved there as a finance manager, and I was there for a year, and then decided to move to go do another finance manager role. So that was what I did. And I worked in a media company. And after a year, I just thought, you know what, I want to do MBA. This is too narrow-minded. I want to do something more than just the traditional accounting. So I decided I wanted to do an MBA, and then got distracted because with music. I thought, you know what, I'm just going to take a break and do a gig and just organize a gig. And that's spanned about 7 years of running my own company, organizing every single thing within the company itself because it's a one-man band. But it was really working with music, working with some of the most talented people. Now, what that relates for me, that was what really catapulted my career as an accountant. Really oddly, because it's got nothing at all on the surface of it of being an accounting role. However, what it was, I was this small business owner that had to wear so many different hats to be able to make things work, that suddenly I realized not just what accounting was, I realized what all the other different parts of the company related to. And for me, I think that was the key thing that catapulted me from being a finance manager to being a finance director.
So, looking at the big picture and being commercially aware is extremely important and will help you to reach your career goals sooner. And I can appreciate that if you're just starting out your career, this can be extremely difficult. So, here is what Priscilla would recommend.
To be honest, I think that some is natural, some is if you have that natural analytical brain, that's part of it. But I think that there is you decide that that's what you're going to do. Sometimes putting the invoice will be boring, and so if you don't give a context to what you're doing, then you're just doing. And you get into that automatic mode where you're just doing. So I think that one of the advice is consciously go, this is not just an invoice. And I know it sounds really odd saying that because it is an invoice, but the invoice has a place somewhere else. And therefore being able to understand. So I would say consciously doing that. But also in this day and age, just being an accountant, and there's nothing wrong in just being an accountant, but if you want to progress and progress at rates, you need to think about how what you're doing affects the rest of the business. It has to happen.
So, someone who doesn't have a business or doesn't run a business on the side, what is your suggestion in terms of trying to be commercially aware without having to actually running a business?
Wherever you are, get to understand the business you're working in. You Nobody kind of catapults or move forward without hard work, and that means that you'll be taking the initiative here, going, okay, right, I'm going to do the job I'm doing literally the best way that I need to do it. I will meet the expectations, but I'm also going to go and book. And I did a lot of that, not just when I was trying to get up or even as a finance director. I will book meeting with the commercial director. I will book meeting with these people. And I will say to them, can you tell me about what you do? And I did a lot of that. I work in a small company. I mean, I love working for small companies, so I'm biased. But there's a general view that when you work in a small company, you don't have a lane that you have to just look at. You are hit with by many different things that because you're a small company, you don't have a department that deals with that. And so you learn really quickly a lot of varied things within a small company.
Now, before my call ended with Priscilla, she actually left some top tips for everyone who's starting out their career in accounting. But before we get into that, as someone with a busy schedule myself, I always want to learn how everyone manages their time.
Music is something that is very personal to me. It's my heart. It's what makes me do the other things that I do.
How do you manage your time? Because you have, your hobby, your music, which, from what I see on your social media, it looks like there's a lot going on. And, you have your full-time job, in a very senior position. And then you have your son.
I haven't in the past managed it very well. Before music started, work consumed every breath that I took. And also, I was working in a company that was going through, that's before 2020. I was working in a company that was going through financial hardship. And so my whole life was about keeping them alive. So in the past, I've not been able to do it well. And the person that's really suffered most was actually my son, because he wasn't getting a lot of me. I just worked too much and just got really irritable. When we got into lockdown, I found perspective, as everyone did. You see that and you think about what is life about. And I came out of lockdown with a real sense of what is important to me. What is important to me at the top of the tree is my son. I've got to be a mom there. This is his formative years. So being able to understand what my priorities are, being able to plan very carefully. So I know when I'm working, I'm working. My working hours, I have to literally compartmentalize my brain. I'm working and nothing else intrudes within my working hours. After my working hours, then I know how to divide my time. And my time is my son first and the music around. And the music is not work. Music is actually, I have to keep a handle on because it's my heart.
And finally, here are her top tips for someone who is starting out or new to a career in accounting.
Asking questions is not a sign of weakness at all. It's actually a sign of strength. I think that also, even when I was starting my career, I was too embarrassed to ask questions that I thought I should know. And yes, and you're right, it takes time for you to go, actually, I actually need to know. So I'm going to ask the questions. So I would always encourage, ask the questions, not, and don't be too embarrassed or worried about what it will make you look. Because if you don't ask the questions, you don't know, and you will make mistakes. And that's worse. Be creative also. When I say be creative, I mean be creative in how you get the work that you get. It's really funny how if you're a creative person, it runs around through the rest of your life. So if you're looking for a job and you're applying, I tend to get a lot of the jobs I get because I've written directly to the company. I have said, this is what I do. They haven't actually advertised anything. I have no idea whether they have a job or not. I've just written to them and go, you know what, this is what I do. I would love to work with your company. I've checked their website. I can see you do this. I would like to work with you. So if you're starting, be creative. I know they're the standard ways you put your CVs. I know I'm also at a different level, but in the last, I would say even 10 years, a lot of the jobs I've got has not been through agencies. It's been me directly contacting companies and not being scared to go, hey, I want a job. Can I work with you? And if you have enough, if you're in a situation where time is going and you're not finding something, maybe while you're looking for something, find a local place where you could just work voluntarily for them 1 or 2 days a week, because then you're getting some experience rather than your experience being you're writing CVs and the time's passing and you're not getting anything. You might as well make the time work for you. Some people have an issue about doing voluntary work or working in the company without being paid. Remember, they're getting something from it, but you are getting something too. And you're deciding what you want to get from it.
And if people want to see more of your music, I do particularly, I listen to your song on Spotify, Old Friend, quite a lot. I really love that song. So if people, so if people want to find you, they want to hear more about you, know more about you, what are the channels that they can find you on?
If you go to hyperfollow.com/Eyitemi, EYITEMI, it has all the information on me, my music, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, and it's just one place that you can click on to somewhere else to find more about me. Yeah, so great to see you somewhere.
Yeah, amazing. Please do check out the link in the description to find Priscilla's music. She is extremely talented, and I am just so impressed that she is able to do that while excelling in her career. Well, ladies and gents, that's it from me for today. I will see you next week.